The heavy exchange of fire now.
For over a decade, the people of South Sudan have struggled to find peace. A country torn apart by civil war, ethnic violence, and political instability. But one question looms large in the midst of this chaos. Who truly holds power in South Sudan? Is it President Salva Kiir, the man elected to lead the nation, or is it Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni, whose influence in the country seems to extend beyond just diplomatic relations? In this video, we'll examine the hidden forces behind South Sudan's political landscape, the role of Uganda's military intervention, and how Museveni's support for Kiir has prolonged South Sudan's suffering.
South Sudan, woye!
Since South Sudan gained independence in 2011, the relationship between Uganda and South Sudan has been one of political and military partnership. While Museveni and Kiir publicly portray themselves as allies, the reality is much more complex. Uganda, under Museveni's leadership, has played a crucial role in supporting Kiir's government, particularly during moments of crisis. Uganda's military, the UPDF, has been involved in several interventions, both directly and covertly. Most notably, Museveni's forces have helped Kiir in times of political turmoil, such as the violent clashes of 2016, keeping the embattled leader in power despite his controversial leadership. But is Museveni's support really helping South Sudan? Or is it just another form of external control, denying the South Sudanese people the chance to determine their own future? While Uganda is often celebrated as a key peace broker in South Sudan, a closer look reveals a different narrative, one driven by self-interest and profit. Behind the scenes, Uganda's military operates less as a peacekeeping force and more as a mercenary outfit, enriching top commanders through sustained deployment in conflict zones. Continued instability in South Sudan offers Kampala's elite generals a lucrative opportunity to maintain their hold on illicit military contracts, while disguising their motives under the banner of regional peace and security. Uganda's military presence is not a gesture of goodwill, but a calculated business strategy where war becomes an asset, not a liability. Beyond the battlefield, Uganda also profits from the humanitarian fallout of the South Sudanese conflict. The more refugees that pour across the border, the more funding flows in from international agencies like the United Nations. This influx of aid not only supports refugee operations but also lines the pockets of politically connected suppliers contracted to provide food and essential services. Additionally, Uganda benefits economically from controlling trade routes in the region, collecting hefty taxes from goods, such as fish trucks from South Sudan, passing through its territory en route to countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo. A peaceful South Sudan would threaten these arrangements, offering alternative routes and cutting Uganda out of the equation. When a small country with limited economic resources maintains a disproportionately large military presence across Africa, from Somalia to the Central African Republic, while claiming it cannot afford basic domestic services, it raises serious questions about its true priorities. In 2016, one of the most controversial acts of Uganda's involvement in South Sudan occurred when the UPDF bombed the Nuer ethnic group's supporters marching to capture Juba. These airstrikes were seen as a deadly show of force that not only resulted in immense loss of lives, but also helped strengthen Kiir's position in the conflict. The Nuer and other tribes, who had been strong supporters of Kiir's former deputy, Riek Machar, became targets of the airstrikes. This intervention by the UPDF led to significant loss of life, fueling anger and resentment within the Nuer community. By giving Kiir's army a sweeping upper hand, the Ugandan intervention tipped the scales of the conflict, making the already fragile peace process even harder to achieve. The bombing not only escalated the violence but also sowed deep divisions among the people of South Sudan, prolonging the cycle of retaliation and revenge. One of the key criticisms of Museveni's intervention in South Sudan is that it denies the people of South Sudan the right to self-determination. South Sudan's struggle for independence and peace has been overshadowed by external interference, most notably from Uganda. In his speeches, Museveni has made it clear that he has a preference for Kiir's government. Uganda's army chief also stated that Uganda only recognizes Salva Kiir as the legitimate leader of South Sudan, despite the country's internal divisions and opposition forces. This rhetoric isn't just political. It's an endorsement of a leadership that has been marked by human rights abuses, corruption, and a failure to bring lasting peace. By supporting Kiir, Museveni essentially stifles the voices of those who demand a different path, including those who oppose Kiir's rule and seek to forge a more democratic future for South Sudan. But how sustainable is Museveni's support for Kiir? As we've seen, Uganda's intervention in South Sudan is not only controversial but unsustainable. The ongoing conflict has resulted in an unspeakable human toll, with millions displaced and tens of thousands dead. The peace processes, with Uganda's support for Kiir, have consistently failed to bring lasting peace to the country. Each time Uganda intervenes, it only deepens the divisions, making a truly peaceful solution more elusive. Museveni's approach has become a double-edged sword. While it may temporarily stabilize Kiir's government, it keeps South Sudan trapped in a cycle of violence, preventing the country from finding its own way out of the conflict. The Ugandan intervention has been nothing less than a denial of South Sudan's right to peace. Instead of empowering the South Sudanese people to resolve their own conflicts and build a better future, Uganda's support for Kiir has instead emboldened a leader whose rule has been marked by violence, instability, and a lack of accountability. The people of South Sudan have a right to determine their future, free from foreign intervention. They have a right to self-determination, to peace, and to justice. Museveni's continued support for Kiir only stands in the way of these fundamental rights. A recent example of how this foreign influence continues to hinder South Sudan's progress was seen when the African Union envoy, Raila Odinga, attempted to meet with Riek Machar to discuss peace efforts. Kiir, however, blocked the meeting, insisting that Odinga first travel to Kampala to meet President Museveni before meeting with Machar. This denial of the African Union envoy's initiative to engage directly with Machar highlights just how much influence Museveni has over South Sudan's internal affairs. Kiir's insistence on involving Museveni in even the most basic peace negotiations shows how deeply entrenched Uganda's power is in South Sudan. By requiring that Odinga seek permission from Museveni, Kiir effectively denied the people of South Sudan a chance to move forward with their own peace process. This not only undermines South Sudan's sovereignty, but also further entrenches the cycle of violence and instability that has plagued the country for years. As South Sudan continues to face the challenges of conflict and instability, the question remains: will it be allowed to move forward, or will external powers like Uganda continue to hold it back? The future of South Sudan depends on its ability to break free from foreign influence and chart its own path toward peace and prosperity. It's time for the people of South Sudan to be heard. It's time for a peace that is led by them, not imposed by others. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more in-depth analyses of African politics.